lower prescription costs for their healthcare needs. As a physician, I see it all the time where people come in and they're taking their pills every other day, or they're splitting their pills, and one guy was even eighthing his pills. And just to try to get some of it, rather than all of it, it was prescribed because they couldn't afford the prescriptions. So when I moved here from out of state, having practiced in different parts of the country, I was appalled to see that there was no $4 pharmacy prescription plans, no Walmart pharmacies, Kmart, Target, Walgreens, you name it. And it kind of blew me away that that was the case. So I wrote a letter to the editor, and from there on I've got in contact with this wonderful organization that's trying to help North Dakotans do better. So I'm sponsoring a committee of 25 people who are going to collect those signatures, and we're kicking that off today. We have a lot of people who are concerned about these prices, and they vary from working moms to working families, retirees, or just people that want to have more affordable prices. We've got people from all over. We have Bismarck, Mandan, Dickinson, Beulah, Ashley, Fargo, you name it. And we're going to have people up and running from Wahpeton to Williston to get these signatures collected so we can start making a difference for the people of North Dakota. Just to talk about a review of the law, this is a law that was initiated in 1963, primarily to make it so that physicians could not own pharmacies, because that was a bit of a conflict of interest. As a physician, I have no interest in taking on more projects, and I doubt many physicians will, but the law has kind of been monopolized, or created a monopoly in the pharmacy system, where it has to be locally owned by a pharmacist, 51% of that particular pharmacy, and that's created a lot of problems with freedom of choice for the people of North Dakota. If it was any other commodity, you wouldn't have, you have to buy your gas at this gas station, you have to buy your lumber at this lumber yard. You can't give people that choice in other areas. They're in this area, we can't give it in others. So I think that's an important point. So we're looking to try to get this initiated so that we have places like Kmart and Walmart and Target and Walgreens that are available for my consumers or my patients to get these medications so they can take better care of themselves. We have a lot of local independent pharmacists that are opposed to this law for a few reasons, some of which are obvious, particularly their own interests, their own income, trying to make a little more profit, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to start the freedom of competition and a free enterprise system for our people. They talk about saving the small town, but being from a small town and going back to it and seeing things boarded up, and it's not what it used to be. All that's left are the bars and the post office and the churches, and it's kind of sad to see. But on the other hand, we've got to look for the greater good here. And just because we open up the free enterprise system doesn't mean that the person's not going to go down to the pharmacist they know and trust and have an established relationship with, who counsel them, know what they'll do, know their train of thought, and they can still have that quality of care delivered. They still have that freedom of choice. Changing this law does not dictate where someone can shop. They don't have to go somewhere in particular. They don't have to choose Kmart. They can choose the independent pharmacist. They can choose Walgreens. It's that freedom of choice we need to deliver to my patients. And the other thing is that we're going to allow hospitals to get involved with pharmacies so that we can delve out prescriptions at midnight, say in the emergency room, and they can go get them filled. They don't have to wait till the next day if they're too sick to make it. If they want to get help now, which is why they came in that late, we can have a pharmacy available for those people that they can get what they need. They've claimed that North Dakota already has the lowest prescription drug prices, but I don't see anybody selling $4 medications. I know that some of the larger chains like Thrifty White have got an $11 plan for 90 days of prescriptions, which they just initiated, but it kind of goes against this whole spirit of this old law, because they were grandfathered in, and now they're doing what the other pharmacists have said they cannot do, or what they are concerned about happening. And so we need to have equality in that area. So if the Thrifty White can do it, other places can do it. And then the other thing is we're going to create some jobs with this. If we get these pharmacies going, we're going to have a lot of wonderful pharmacists that are going to be helping my patients, help the people in North Dakota, provide lower prices, and jobs will be created. And that's always a good thing for the economy in North Dakota, not mention the people. That being said, that's kind of my synopsis, and I appreciate you all coming today, and there'll be questions at the end. And with that said, I would like to introduce Rick Olson, who will come up and tell you what he has to say right now. Thanks, Rick.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rick Olson. I'm from here in Fargo. I work in the retail industry, one of the local businesses here in town. The reason why I joined this campaign is mainly for my wife. She's a victim of chronic myeloid leukemia, and medications, the various medications she has to take every month would cost up to several $1,000s. And thankfully, being able to utilize a big box store, we were able to basically half that cost. Of course, as Dr. Thompson mentioned, we are hoping to gather at least up to 20,000 signatures on these petitions before the end of the year, so we get them filed with the Secretary of State for the validation process and get this measure on the ballot for the November 2010 general election. With that being said, I think Dr. Thompson pretty much covered everything that I can think of, so be open to answer any questions you might have.
How confident are you in getting up to 20,000 signatures? That seems like quite a bit in such a short amount of time.
The law only requires just over 12,000 valid signatures to be presented to the Secretary of State. If we could, I think we can easily do double that.
What makes you say that? Why are you so confident?
Because it's mainly the issue of competition. The committee has heard from many people from around the state that says they want to look, for example, carry a petition. They want to see how they can be involved. The retirees, the people who are cutting their bills in half, like Dr. Thompson mentioned. There's a lot of interest in this issue out there. Then from the legislature when it was shot down last time. I only speak from a personal standpoint, but I would say the legislature was more hidebound to the rural pharmacists to make sure they got protected. But it's more a protectionist thing as far as I'm concerned. But we want to get this issue out to everybody, to get them involved in it, to get them interested in it.
I want to answer that, and that we're going to be creating greater good where people are going to be able to say what's going to be their choices. We're going to let the people of North Dakota decide and not just the legislatures what they supposedly represent. We were disappointed with the outcome. We know this law will benefit the whole of North Dakota rather than serve a select few. Good questions.
Yes.
Any more?
I'm wondering, you mentioned Thrifty White. They're a Plymouth, Minnesota-based chain, and they're allowed to operate in North Dakota. In fact, they go into some towns, like Williston, for example, and will buy up the local pharmacy and then close it. And then they'll have their store, and they're only their store. Well, the Thrifty White is obviously a chain in North Dakota. Why are they allowed to operate here, but other legitimate chains like Walgreens and others are not?
There are a lot of loopholes in this law. First of all, Thrifty White was here before the law was enacted, so there was a grandfather clause that enabled them to continue to run their stores. As to why they're allowed to take over a pharmacy, I think that's because they are still considered locally owned even though they're a chain, but I'd have to actually see their tax records to see what that was. But I agree with you. There are chains here already. Why are some chains allowed and others aren't? But that is primarily why. The grandfather clause that, we've had for quite some time. Right.
Is that it? Any other questions, anyone? Great, thank you.
For coming.
All right, thanks for coming.
I have something to add for you.
Yeah.
This will be noticed, but already
There's about 4 or 5 initiatives on a regular basis.
So how much is it?
Well, conservatively with the Tissigna and adding the other ones, I'd say close to 6,300 probably.